What's that? Whispers in the dark? Footsteps in the hall when you are the only one home? Something's breathing from inside your closet. We all know what it's like to be scared and alone. Your heart races, your breath catches in your chest, your knees feel weak. It's a lot like being at a Rick Springfield concert in the 80s. Today, we speak with two guests who know these feelings all too well. Rick Springfield's fan club advisor, Dean Haglund, is here. He's also the host of Scared and Alone, and paranormalist and author Lady Ann shares some stories of supernatural horror. That's next here on the best in paranormal programming. This is the Paranormal 60 with Dave Schrader.
I'm not gonna stand here and listen to this baloney.
He won't float. He doesn't stand for baloney.
Sounds like a lot of supernatural baloney to me.
Supernatural, perhaps. Baloney, perhaps not.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome. This is the Paranormal 60 with Dave Schrader. My first guest, Dean Haglund, is known the world over as Langley, one of the lone gunmen from the hit TV series The Lone Gunman and The X-Files. And he played that for over 9 seasons on the Fox TV series. A longtime improvisational comedian, Dean got his start in the renowned Vancouver Theatre Sports League. He's performed with the Groundlings and Second City. He's headlined numerous comedy clubs and is a regular performer at the Improv in Los Angeles. This is a good show to visit with us because it's been a while since I've talked with Dean on the air, and I'm glad that he's here with us this evening. Dean is the executive producer and star of the documentary film, The Truth Is Out There. He's currently the host of the weekly podcast, The Chill Pack Hollywood Hour, and the online series, Scared and Alone. Dean Haglund is someone I'd like to call my friend, but due to certain legal proceedings, I'm no longer allowed to do that, nor be within 100 yards of Mr. Haglund, but he's still here with us because we're in a safe distance. How you doing, Dean?
Great, Dave. How are you?
I'm doing well, buddy.
I forgot all about that restriction.
That restraining order, boy, God, you have one or two weird interactions with a celebrity, and they get all bizarre on you. Which
I know.
Which
well, hey, lawyer's recommendation.
Are you as pissed off as I am that Amber Heard and Johnny Depp are getting all of this attention? When I pooped on your bed at the Queen Mary 10 years ago, nobody even spoke about it.
Nobody even spoke about it. I know. And I said to everyone, you know what Schrader does? Just poop on the bed down by my feet under the sheets. So I don't see it till my bare toes are in it.
Hey, buddy, it is so good to catch up with you. I'm glad we got a chance to see each other at Michigan Paracon last year. You came on and did your show and allowed me to be up on stage with you having some fun, and that was a lot of fun.
Oh my God, you were hilarious. For those who didn't see it.
You were hilarious. You just make me look good. That's the way it works.
Well,
kind of the way you covered Duchovny on the X-Files too. You just carried that heavy weight.
Yeah, I know. My back hurts from all that heavy lifting.
I know it's going to sound weird, but people are interested. I've mentioned it on the show in the past. How can they still order a copy of that comedy bit that you did at the Michigan Paracon?
Yes. You know where you can do that? I think I had it up at my Facebook page.
Okay.
As a little link to sell through my little store.
But I'll tell you what, we will put a link for it on today's show so that you can go find it and order it, and then you can watch the comic stylings of Dean Haglund and Dave Schrader. We had a great time. Good time with that. This is a cool series. Let's talk a little bit about Scared and Alone live. Yeah.
Isn't this something? This started quite by accident, actually, because the producers, Rob and Christina, whom you know, they said, hey, there's an international ghost hunt day.
Is this the International High Sign for Ghost Hunt Day running in place?
All those ghost hunting shows, they're always doing.
I thought that was How to Milk a Cow. Nope, that is International Ghost Hunting Day.
Well, yeah, you got to have an international, like, oh, I'm hunting, Yeah,
I guess I didn't know
But,
those are the.
so it was like we did. I think I did 2 hours, 3 hours live,
Mhm.
talking to
Wow.
people because I got another show coming out called This Old Haunted House. People who renovate haunted houses. Fun because I also a handyman. I built a steam room back there, Dave. My own steam room behind that
Wow.
wall. I know.
Fancy.
I know. 4 hours of YouTube videos a day, and I could do this, and now it's operational. There.
See, I watch those same videos and I go, I can hire somebody to do that. Now I know Dean Haglund is my guy. When I want a steam room, I'm calling him. Gonna have put one in.
I got some leftover parts, so yeah, for sure.
Oh, that always goes well.
I don't know where
elbow bend pipe, and I got some smoke. Well, some spray smoke. It just gives you that sense without the commitment of having to be part of a steam room.
The steam is just my hot breath as I'm actually doing another podcast. Yeah, exactly. No,
Good
but
comment.
getting back to Scared and Alone, we four of us, Courtney Buckley, who was by herself in a haunted mansion with just her phone and her K2 meter. We're walking around while me, Sloan, David Sloan.
I do, yeah.
Yeah. And Michelle Haley, with all her psychic dolls. And then it was Richard Lillard, of course, the gentleman psychic. The four of us were kind of doing this thing, and it was just such great chemistry. And it was like talking to everybody. It was like lots of fun. It was like also terrorizing because poor Courtney Buckley, the bravest woman in paranoia, sits by herself shivering in these freezing houses because a lot of them, they don't bother turning on the heat. So she's ice cold. You see her breath. Weird things happen, and weird things happen electronically for each of us, where lights will go out. For me, my robot vacuum starts up in the middle of the show, just starts vacuuming all through the studio. I have to.
Why don't we do this? We've got a clip from one of your episodes.
Oh, yeah.
That goes over this. Let's show it.
The front red door is right here.
Right. So something's dribbling. It's not raining in Michigan, but I got something going on in my place. I'm sorry. This is called Scared and Alone because each of us are alone in our own locations, and something weird happens in all our locations. Something just weird.
I have a heavy feeling right now. I don't know what it is.
Me too.
Yeah.
Right?
Something. I don't know if it's the room you're in, Courtney, and I know there was fun times there and tragic times. I don't know if those energies are mixing right now or something, but I feel something off.
It's like a
Yeah.
strong anxiety, like almost like
Yeah.
something sitting on top of your chest.
Mhm.
I'm getting
For
very
me.
lightheaded,
Yeah.
like that anxiety, lightheaded, like.
I'm getting that too. I'd like it feels like my ceiling's caving in on me.
And then I'll pop back in when I get down there. Dean, I don't hear you.
I don't hear him either. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Oh my God, Dean, the Roomba. Where's
We
the
can
Roomba?
hear you.
We can't hear you. A mime is a terrible thing to waste.
I'm really good at reading lips, so I can just translate the whole time.
Can you?
I'm really good at it. I swear.
Well, okay. We
He
can't
said,
hear,
"Can you hear me now?" No, we can't hear you now.
we can't hear you at all. Do you know what it is? I know what it is. Witch. Well, actually, to be fair, I can see several witches, so maybe that's what it is. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Anybody hear me?
Now you can.
Oh,
there
there
you
you
are.
are. Back.
Welcome back.
Oh my gosh. And all my hard drives just kicked off. It said disk did not eject properly. I have 6 auxiliary hard drives. All of them just ejected as soon as. What? What the hell? Oh, okay. You know what? This is now the third or fourth computer anomaly that's happened with this show. I'm going to start charging the show for all my computer. This is ridiculous. I got a robot that is on mind of its own. I now just wasted 6 hard drives. Oh my gosh.
I have to tell you, when I yelled the Roomba, your face was the best thing I've ever seen in my entire life.
Which is weird. It's not even a Roomba brand. It's a Samsung. It's in the Samsung family. You think the hardware, the software would be, but no, the Samsung robot vacuum is now its own entity. And I'm too scared to throw it in the garbage. I can't reprogram it. And it just sort of wanders around this room by itself when I'm not here.
Put a Ouija board on the floor.
Oh, no, I'm not. I have a satanic Samsung robot vacuum. Fantastic. This show, you know what? I don't know if I should host it anymore. I'm really.
I absolutely love that. I love that you're able to just riff and use your comic stylings and improv to just be a part of every moment. But I'm a little worried about the possessed robot vacuum cleaner.
Oh yeah, I'll come into the studio. It'll be parked somewhere. Doesn't even vacuum the whole thing. Doesn't get back to its charging thing. And that was Courtney's joke, right? I should just place a giant Ouija board, and then every day it's another letter that the Samsung robot from hell is trying to communicate with me.
I think it's what's obvious to me, being a parent of so many children, is that somehow your vacuum has been possessed by the spirit of a teenager, because it only does half the work and usually doesn't want to be seen by you, only comes out when you're not home. That's what my guess would be. I'm no expert on this subject, but I would say
funny,
that might be it.
Hey, I was excited of the show. Oh, hey, look at that.
Definitely. Yeah, I wanted to just pop up because our friend Jamie Kaler, who is a regular contributor to this show, or as we like to call him, I'll do anything for $1, Kaler. Good to see that you guys are working on a project together, and I was excited to see you guys pop up on this. So when I sent him a message saying you were going to be on, he's like, "Oh my God, I love that guy."
Fantastic. Yeah, Jamie's such a great guy. And that movie was called The Lady Killers, a dark comedy that came out. I think we have a sales agent who's getting it out there.
Shopping it?
Yeah, shopping it around. So once we know more about it, I'll come back on the show and tell you all about it.
I just want anybody to know that might be hard of hearing or deaf, if you watch the show in hopes that what Dean is telling you is sign language, it is not. He is making up. We're going to be, they're taking it out and they're shopping.
You know,
paranormal.
That's ghost hunting. Ghost down its hallway. Ghost hunting.
My God.
Being scared and alone.
Now, being scared and alone, putting these people in, and now do you always have just one person that goes off and does the investigation while the rest of you are kind of sitting back watching and Mystery Science 3K'ing them, or what?
Kinda, but it's because it's live and it's interactive. Anybody watching can participate. So we have regular people who will get into the chat and start going, "Oh, I'm sensing this," or "I see that." And then we have, stop the camera. There's been a couple times like people have seen either movement behind Courtney, and mostly it's been Courtney because she's accessible. But a couple times we've all traded out. I'm due to be the next one to go in by myself overnight. And often she'll spend the night because sometimes they're, like the, what was it called? The Burn Bray Mansion is also bed and breakfast, right? So it's a haunted bed and breakfast. So she'll spend the night by herself and live stream her sleeping and doors opening and stuff like that. So it's an extra 2, however long. She doesn't sleep very long, apparently. She gets up really quickly and gets the heck out of there.
Well, maybe I should come out there, and it should be a special edition of Not So Alone and Scared, where you and I are the Shaggy and Scooby of this deal. And I'll just follow around and be like, "Ruh-roh, I'm out of here."
Well, that's what somebody said. This show is very much like a live interactive Scooby-Doo episode.
That's awesome.
And somehow I'm Shaggy. I don't know how that happened. But
I figured
can
between
see
the
it.
two of us, you at least had more of a shaggy look than I do.
Yeah. Right.
Of course, that's
So-
why I'm not an actor. I'm not thinking outside the box enough, I guess. I'm acting like a man with hair.
Well, I'm convinced.
Thank you.
Yeah, what are those upside down pictures? You got the
Yes, exactly. Yeah, the Wooly Willy pictures from the 80s with the magnetic wand and all the little magnetic bits.
That's right.
So you get to go kind of vicariously watch these people ghost hunt, be part of this. But what I found fascinating, especially in that clip, is I have that happen a lot on my show while I'm doing the show. Sometimes we'll start talking about like alien agenda, and all of a sudden we're talking about the fact that what is the government covering up, and my power goes out, or I lose connection, or one of my guests are like, yeah, and it was at that moment then I saw,
all right,
and they freeze, and like we can't get them back, and it's so I can feel you in that moment. First of all, it's you want to be afraid and alone. Be on a live show and have the only other person with you stop talking.
Yeah, right.
On screen,
and you're really alone.
Yeah.
But everybody, it's not that clip just showed me, but each one of us who aren't ghost hunting have had bizarre electrical things happen, not just to the computers, but Haley Michelle's lights started going on and off while we're looking at like, what, you in a disco? What's going on? And she's like, I don't know. The lights just started randomly going on and off, and all sorts of weird things. And I don't pretend to be psychic, but very others, Michelle and Richard Lell, do connect psychically to stuff that's going on, and Richard Lell actually will live paint an acrylic painting that is about the place and details about it that he'll just come up with, that then we do research afterwards, and it looks incredibly similar to the woman who died there, or the car that went off the cliff nearby, stuff like that. He will paint those details in, and we're like, what? And so he offers those paintings to the owner of the house that's haunted first, and if they don't want it, he sells it off his website. So
I bet you're gonna feel that the owners are like, no thanks.
Well, I believe he charges a fee. It doesn't just offer it out of the nicety of his heart. But
I do have two of his prints in the Dean Haglund Naked and Alone series. So
wait, what?
He said he psychically paints you. One, you look a lot like the George Costanza pose from Seinfeld.
Good. Oh, now you just put a horrible image in my head of myself in that.
Well, and the tens of listeners right now have that same image. Tens of them.
Tens of listeners. I love a hit show.
Yeah, well, you start off small and build. Yeah. I'm a grower, not a shower. That's the way I like to look at it when it comes to my program. And I got to tell you, maybe it's the dad in me, but Richard's line about a mime is a terrible thing to waste absolutely made me snort when I watched it the first time. As it was going, I'm just watching the scene. I'm like, what's going on? Then you're like, and your voice is gone. And he goes, a mime is a terrible thing. I went, had this, I couldn't grasp enough air. It was awesome. But I love that it's that interactive play between you guys, and that there's always something to watch, even if the ghosts aren't making themselves present.
Right. And we also, David P. Sloan is a meticulous researcher. So he'll find all sorts of things about the location, and it's a different location every week. And so, we can go to historical detail. We can go to whatever Courtney's freaking out about in real time. And then, I have the ability to sort of pop all over, talk to people. I'm sort of the host, air traffic controller, as it were, to all the action going on. So it works great because the only ghost hunts I've been on before was with you,
right?
In the Queen Mary, and then hosting that 6-hour thing at the Trans-Allegheny Lunatic Asylum.
That 6-hour thingy, also known as the highest rated Travel Channel TV show ever, The Ghost Adventures Live Halloween.
That was not their highest rated, was it?
Yeah, at that time, I believe it was the highest rated show. God. It blew up ratings.
Disaster. Oh my gosh.
I thought it was a lot of fun. There was a lot of great moments when the host comes out and he goes, "Here we are in old West Virginia."
That's I did say that. Yeah.
And you stopped and froze for just that 1 second. You're like, what did I just say? West Virginia?
Well, and they made me do a 2-hour Q to Q rehearsal with 10 minutes then to put on the side, the top. Like, do I get a meal here? Anything? No. And then
God.
the caretaker.
Take off my glasses. You're making me fog up my glasses. I'm laughing so hard.
Well, you were fantastic.
Thank you.
The guys did their job. The guests,
sure.
I mean, the guy with the smoke machine, and then he threw his K2 meter going, it got knocked out of my head.
The spirit might have pulled it out of his hand, Dean. That was funny. I do love that moment. I should find that online. It is one of my shining moments because you remember all the producers came in. They're like, we have to address this, but we can't just call this guy out.
Yeah.
What do we say? And I'm like, I got it. Like, what can you tell? I'm like, no, just let me roll with it. And then you're doing your thing and you go, let's go to Dave in the nerve center. And I go, well, we've seen what you guys had to say. There was a lot of interaction about this. And here's the actual footage we saw. And you see him holding the K2 meter up and then he flicks his wrist and it goes flying. Now in the dark, the guys can't see that. They just hear it. And he's like, it tore it out of my hand. I go, so we're going to leave it up to you, the viewer. Was it this, that, or intentional grounding? We'll be back with more. And went away. And they came in. They're like, yes, you saved it. We didn't have to take the heat, but we admitted we saw what took place.
Yeah. But then 3:00 in the morning, okay, I want to thank Zach, Nick, and Aaron. They go, I get strong armed by Nick, right? Just, hey, out of the way. Hey, did you throw that thing? Oh my God.
When we're out of the building and we're out of control. That was awesome.
I know. But even the caretaker said that was the quietest night he'd ever seen in that asylum because they brought in the big truck, satellite truck that they used for the Indy 500. And there was only like 4 cameras you had to plug in. So you had another 300 channel bays just blasting microwaves for no reason. And you're like,
and the ghosts are like, screw this, we're out of here.
Yeah, totally. You just cleared any sub-para electrical activity completely out of the asylum and probably for the whole state using that thing. So
however, I've never been able to have a child since. Is that a problem?
That thing sterilized me, for crying out loud.
I'm now sterile and balder than I was before I went in that building. But it was a great time. What's your take on, I mean, obviously when you first started coming to our events at the Queen Mary, we brought you in. You were one of the guys from the X-Files and the Lone Gunman, and you were doing comedy, and we thought it'd be a great little entertainment bit, but you got to actually steep and be a part of it. How do you rate where you were 14 years ago when you started doing our events to now with your belief in ghosts and actual hauntings?
Yeah, well, I've seen a lot more than I did 14 years ago. Things, that you can't explain, even just doors opening or things moving from being just in live, but also on a lot of these video shows. Because the other one that's coming out soon, this old haunted house where they're renovating, in some of those episodes, he's pointing, going, look, that thing's moving right now. There's no wind in here. And you're like, okay, that's pretty weird. So, but I always say, in physics, quantum mechanics, in mathematics, the mathematics say there are 13 other dimensions that we are living in right now, but just this can only record 3, and the perception of time, which may not be a dimension. So you got 13 other dimensions, perhaps more, that we know are here mathematically. So yeah, absolutely. If something realms from 3-dimensional to other dimensional in and out, we're going to see it as paranormal. When in fact, come the future, when we can actually build something that could read that, we will have, it will no longer be paranormal. We'll switch it over to science at that point.
The real bummer about this is in 4th, 5th, and 6th dimensions, I have hair and really tight abs. I'm just hoping that we can find a way to connect with that.
You maybe be thinking that was parallel universes?
No, it's me. It's just in those levels you see more detail. Right in 3D, you get to see all of it. 4D, my hair and my abs are much tighter. This is just
it's all right there.
Yeah,
I know.
TV adds close to 100 pounds and no hair. So I don't know if you're aware of that. That's why you had to wear a wig on the X-Files, right? They just had to add on because it seems to subtract hair.
No, that was my real hair on the X-Files.
Wow, really?
Yeah. The glasses were fake, but the hair, I had not cut my hair since a play in university in 87. And so by the time 93 rolled around, when that started, that was my real hair. So when I came into audition, they didn't know what the gunmen were supposed to be or what they were like. And so first I come in and they go, yeah, let's start there. The guy, long hair, Wayne's World fella. Yeah, there, we'll start there. Then we needed a narky guy in a suit. So then I read continually with other actors, but not Bruce Harwood. He actually just got cast. He was just on the set that day. And then the director said, we need somebody short like the first AD, sort of Weasley. And that was Tom Braidwood. He was the first AD. And they said,
Weasley. And it was Tom Braidwood.
yeah, get that guy. Okay, perfect. And that's how the Lone Gunman came together. So hilarious.
That's awesome. Do you, in doing all this now in the work and actually kind of putting yourself out there more for the paranormal, what's the weirdest thing you've experienced either on this show or personally now?
Well, I'm shocked at the electronic failures left, right, and center. And yeah, I mean, I had to buy a second graphics card for my home built system here. And, you know, I put that together myself, for crying out loud.
Wait a minute. So the true nerd lone gunman, his biggest aspect of what's the weirdest thing? Well, I've had to buy a new graphics card for my system, Dave.
Yeah, because I paid a lot of money.
I got knocked on my ass at the Whaley house and lifted and thrown backwards into a bathroom and tore my back open with a scar this big. What was the most impactful thing to you, Dean? Well, I blew a hard drive once and I had to get a new graphics card. This place is out of control.
Okay,
might be a little too insular from the paranormal world here.
Yeah, I haven't I'm not thrown backwards yet and my back ripped open. I do remember you telling me that story. That was a while ago too, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Thanks for watching. Then what?
Thanks for watching. Now we know why the show didn't get picked up further. Yeah, I remember you telling me that story. Oh, you were on a TV show?
Oh my gosh. Well, this ends the friendship, I guess.
No, not at all. Hey, look at it. This is the way I look at it. How many episodes of Lone Gunman did you guys get?
What our spinoff?
Yeah.
So we did 13 episodes.
I did 23 of the Holzer Files. So I kind of feel, and I got 2 seasons out of it. So I'm I don't want to say I'm a contemporary of yours, but you know,
you're in there.
I mean, you were on Sliders and a couple other programs, but you know, we all have to start somewhere.
Sliders.
Yes. I love when I'm watching something and I'm like powering through an old series and Dean just randomly shows up in an episode. And I'm like, what the hell is Dean?
I know.
And I always take a screen cap and text it to you. And I'm like, who the hell is this guy?
I know. I get that. Somebody just watched a Bones episode, just did the same thing.
Oh, right.
He texted me, hey, look, you're on the thing. So funny.
You're on the thing. And you're like, what? What show is that? I remember somebody telling me about that.
Yeah, right. I didn't know. Oh, well.
Now, for listeners that are interested and viewers here, tell us a little bit about the Chill Pack Hollywood Hour.
Oh, yeah. So Phil Ernest is the other fella in that picture there. We were co-producers and had shared production offices side by side. And every Monday we get together and talk about movies we watched. And our intern said, hey, this is really entertaining. This is my favorite part of the week. You two guys talking. You should make it a podcast. And that year was 2007. And we've been putting up a free show every Monday for going on 16 years now.
Wow.
Believe it or not. So, yeah, there's no monetizing. We fake our
people get their money's worth.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Because what are you paying for that, really? So it's a free podcast going on for 16 years. That's awesome. So much has changed. And you can get some of the old episodes and hear the new ones at chillpackhollywood.com or wherever you find your fine podcasts in the world.
Very good. And we do have a link up for that for their website. And also, we have a link up so you can find more information about Live, Scared and Alone. You can also find it at scaredandalone.com. How often are new episodes of Scared and Alone coming out?
Well, we're trying to do every Saturday night, 8 till 10 Eastern time. But it's about lining up places, and getting everybody coordinated in terms of getting somebody there that has the time to drive to that state to, spend the night there, getting everyone else, making sure they can all be in front of their computers and not have life interrupt everything. And so, we're thinking this Saturday throughout the summer, every Saturday night, we're going to be doing a Scared and Alone. Yeah.
Well, I know I talked to your producers and I said, how does a guy get to be one of those talking heads on an episode? And he said, let's work it out, Schrader. So hopefully I'll get to join you
that'll
for
be
an
fun.
upcoming episode.
Of course,
Yeah,
we'll just have this banter between us. It'll be all community.
What do you, I'm a serious guy.
We'll be, abducted and stuffed in an attic.
I understand. You will be the humor anchor on this. I'm just there to watch and have fun. So we'll be there for it. Dean, it's always a pleasure catching up with you, man. Thank you so much for coming on and spending some time with me today. And for people that are interested in keeping up with you, what's going on in your world? New projects aside from Alone and Scared and this old haunted house?
Yeah, well, this old haunted house that I referred to will be coming out with maybe a streaming service that I can't mention. And then
whisper it to me, I'll mention it.
It starts with X-Flix. No, I don't know.
It starts with X-Flix. Nice.
And then of course this is my art studio actually, so I'm painting a lot, and I have a gallery show coming up in the fall. So I should not be talking to you, but actually going over there with a paintbrush and get cracking. No
and when you have other time, you're building steam rooms for celebrities.
Well, that's the thing. I moved to Michigan 3 years ago, and it was like, oh, it'd be great, a steam room. And somehow I just focused on that, and everything else went to hell. And so now I've gone full circle.
Excellent. Well, Dean, you take care of yourself, sir. Thank you for joining me and being a part of this. And I wish you a lot of success on the programs. And we'll catch up again here soon.
I can't wait, Dave.
Thank you, Dean Haglund. Always a pleasure catching up. We have to take a quick break. When we come back, Lady Anne has some stories of supernatural hijinks to share with us. We've got that and more right after this.
Hey, it's Chris Jericho here, just reminding you about the 4-leaf clover. Chris Jericho's Rock and Wrestling Rager at Sea, the 4th voyage, leaving February 2nd from Miami to Great Stirrup Key, our very own private island. This is going to be the biggest and best Jericho cruise ever, with the biggest lineup, the most fun. I guarantee it. Come join us for the vacation and the party of a lifetime. ChrisJerichoCruise.com. Cabin's still available. I want to see you there.
I'm Cliff Barrickman, and I've found Bigfoot and beyond at the Oregon Bigfoot Festival and beyond at the Clackamas County Fairgrounds. Meet me and other cryptozoology experts like Jason Hawes of Ghost Hunters, psychic medium Sarah Lemos, Travel Channel's David Schrader, and more. Don't miss this one-day event, the Oregon Bigfoot Festival and beyond at the Clackamas County Fairgrounds. Get tickets today.
Oregon Bigfoot Festival, come on, come on.
Haunted Magazine, issue 34, is out June 7th, featuring exclusive interviews by Chris Fleming and Gail Porter about their new show Spooked Scotland. Richard Estep investigates the Sally House. Sam Baltrusis shares a personal story about Salem. Kate Ray explores the gnomes of Wollerton Hall. The origins of Dracula by Neil Story. And there's much, much more. Order in print from the Haunted Magazine website, or visit WH Smith in the UK, Barnes & Noble in the US, and outlets in Canada, Australia, and New Zealand. Also available in app stores. And remember, don't be normal, be paranormal.
Join us at a paranormal convention like no other. Admission is only $20 in Woodbridge, New Jersey for the 8th Annual New Jersey Para-Unity Expo. Woodbridge, New Jersey, July 23rd. Only $20 to see stars like The Ghost Hunters, Jason Hawes, Sherry D. Benedetti, Steve Gonzalez, and Dave Tango. We also have Amy Allen from TV's The X-Files, Jawan Mass, Dalen Spratt, and Marcus Harvey. The Ghost Brothers are back in the house. Dakota Layden, Chelsea Layden, Tanner Wiseman, and Alex Schrader from Destination Fear make their appearance. You'll also get to meet and see Chip Coffey with a live gallery, Dave Schrader from the Holzer Files and the Paranormal 60, Cody and Satori Hawes, the paranormal couple, John Zaffis, the legend himself, will be on hand. You do not want to miss this. Plus, there's awesome vendors, psychics, mediumship readings, and more. Go to NewJerseyParaUnityExpo.com for tickets and information. That's www.NewJerseyParaUnityExpo.com. Lots of great events coming up very soon. July, right around the corner, and you get a chance to see me at the New Jersey Para-Unity Conference, or you can see me out at the Clackamas County Fairgrounds for the Bigfoot Festival, which is going to be a lot of fun. I hope you guys will come out and check it. Right now, we're going to revisit a little segment I like to call By the Book. And today's book we're going to feature is called Speaking to Shadows. And this is a really cool book. It's one that I've got in my collection. I like it. An ancestral curse unleashed over a town deep in the bayou for revenge and control. This is a novel. What ghostly shadows stalk the night in the bayou? Well, this historic tale promises to keep you awake at night. There's ghosts, voodoo, and haunted history that shroud over these haunted swamps, leaving a string of mysterious deaths and strange items strewn about town. Fear and hysteria take over an entire town when multiple reports of a shadow figure stalk the night, initiating curfews and warrants, investigations. Bodies are bound and found with their faces contorted into eternal grimaces as if they witnessed an assailant just before death. What is thought to be logical explanations for death is quickly turned to foul play. We have a link up to the book, or you can find it in my shop at paranormal60.com. Then click the store link. You can visit my Amazon store for that and a bunch of other great paranormal themed books, gifts, and more. Bookmark it and make all your purchases through my link, even if it isn't our items. A very small promotional amount of every sale goes my way to help with this show and production, so please consider that while making this purchase. We're joined now by our guest, Lady Ann. Lady Ann is a lifelong experiencer of the paranormal and supernatural, a storyteller, and writer at heart. She's also the hostess of a podcast called The Caravan, Library of Lore, and the owner of a paranormal digital broadcasting station called KPNL Radio. Lady Ann began learning to read tarot intuitively at the age of 15 and became a Reiki master at the age of 25. And as the mother of 3 children, she also has a passion for teaching, as well as studying medicine and natural remedies. Lady Ann strives to educate herself in the occult and magical workings, among many other topics, too many, as a matter of fact, to name here, as she believes in being the eternal student. She is here with us this evening. She is here to talk about her book, Aperture in the Veil, Born in a Preternatural World. Welcome to the show, and thank you for being here with us.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited.
I got to tell you, at first, I thought I was hallucinating. I was like, I'm seeing a ghostly figure above your head, and it's Edgar Allan Poe. So for just one brief moment, I lost my mind, but I'm glad that it's kind of back. Lady Ann, talk to me. Let's tell people about the book. What's the idea behind it? This is the Diaries of Lady Ann, so obviously it's from your explanations and your examinations and experiences with the paranormal.
Yes. It actually started out as something that I was just writing for my children, because as a lifelong experiencer, I wanted it, just in case anything was to ever happen with, to me, then, and my children were to have experiences, they would have something that they could go back to and that they could read and that they could understand that even though this stuff is spooky and supernatural and paranormal, it's a very real part of our world, at least from my experiences. Because there's so much that the human eye can't see, so much that our ears can't hear. So, it starts off with, my very first memory was I was being babysat and my father had dropped me off, and there was this big, beautiful picture window. And I remember the sun was rising and it was this beautiful oranges and pinks and everything. And as I sat there, and I was only about a year old, I sat there and I looked out at this and I thought, wow, I came back. And that's my very first memory.
Really?
From
So you
there,
became aware of the fact that this was a reincarnated life that you
yes,
were in right now.
yes, exactly.
Wow. And there was just
Yeah.
like a calm knowing, or was it kind of like a holy crap, that awakening?
It was very calm. It was very, but I was also excited. There was that excitement going, wait a second, I got to come back. And from there, my memory just kind of goes to being in my crib. And I remember looking through the slats down the long, dark hallway, and I could see shadow entities. Sometimes it would be a figure like a human figure, and it always felt more like a masculine energy, or you could see hands wrapped around the corner of the wall. Again, just all like a shadow. Um so I've experienced all of this from my earliest memories, and I got to that point where I was like, okay, as I get into this world, being a podcast host, owning the radio station, I really need to start writing all of this down, especially because I started to go on ghost hunts. And I
And let's face it, at any
realized,
time somebody could open the blinds and sun
yeah.
could get you, or somebody could drive a stake through your heart. I'm noticing by
Yep.
your vampire fangs, you have reasons to be
Hey,
afraid.
there you
What if
go.
that pizza comes with too much garlic on top? Boom, you're gone in a
Hey.
puff of smoke.
I actually very much like garlic.
Oh, you're flying in the face of logic in the vampire world.
Yep. But yeah, so it got to the point where I started to travel, and I went to Ohio. And one of the very first times,
I just want
I
people to realize the absurdity of that statement. And then I decided it was time to travel. So I went to Ohio, which is like, nobody wants to go to Ohio. That's the first choice you made was
it,
Ohio?
well, no, the first time that I traveled was over to Arkansas to a paranormal convention, but I went to Ohio because I was best friends with Heather Mosier from Small Town Monsters.
Okay,
She's
gotcha.
over in Ohio, so I went to visit her, and for my birthday, they had we were going on an official ghost hunt. This was the first ghost hunt that I had ever been on. And it was at the Ohio Infirmary. I was really excited, and I've always been really sensitive to energies and people and everything. So I thought, okay, how does this all work? And everybody was just kind of getting their equipment out, and everything was really chill. There was, I didn't feel fear. So I had asked, I said, "Can I go? Can I adventure off?" And they said, "Sure." And so I did, and I just kind of I followed this energy where I just kind of I just went with this flow. And I ended up finding myself in the basement. Well, in the basement it definitely felt off, if you will. There at that point I did start to feel a little bit of fear. So I'm going around and I see this cork board that has music on it. And I'm like, okay, I'm gonna hum. I'm gonna hum because it, raises the energy, the vibration. It's happy. And so I decide to start humming what I see on this sheet of music. And I get to the end of this hall, and I feel it's like this hand goes up the back of my head into my hair. Just as real as you and I. And I freeze at that moment, and I boom, I'm running up all flights of stairs and I run out to where everybody is. I'm as white as a sheet and they're looking at me, and one of them laughed and said, "You ran off, didn't you?" And I was like, "Yeah." But I didn't these kinds of
Right.
things I felt would be really rare. And after I gathered myself, I thought, "Okay, what are the chances of that happening again. So I wandered off by myself again.
Mm.
But nothing else ever happened.
Lady
Nothing
Ann,
else ever
have you
did.
never seen a horror movie? At what point, how many times does Michael have to swing at you with his large knife or Jason with his machete before you're like, what are the chances if I just keep walking in the woods, something weird like this will happen again?
True, true. I mean, it was my first ghost hunt, and from what I've experienced, it seems that it can be a rare thing to have something so physical happen more than one time.
I'll have to take your word on that. You know what, though, as you talk about reincarnation and something else you
Mhm.
said really kind of hit me, right? We talk about the fact now science believes that there are genetic memories shared throughout our
Yes.
lineage, right? We know what
Mhm.
happens with animals. How does an animal know to be born and to suckle and to walk off or forage? How does it know what to do? It's because these genetic memories are part of their makeup. And think about
Mhm.
how many people in scary situations that aren't paranormal investigators that haven't done this. Kids
Mhm.
think that we whistle when we're alone in the dark or we're humming or singing a song to ourselves. And it's interesting because you say, it raises the vibration, it
Mhm.
changes that, and the acoustics of a situation can legitimately change the atmosphere. People, maybe this is an innate ability, an innate memory in people to kind of, when you're in those moments of heightened terror, to try to bring the level up by
Right.
whistling, humming, singing a song. I don't, that just struck me right now.
Yeah, no, I mean it's fascinating because back when I was 15 years old and I began to go to something called healing group. And in healing group, we were learning that's where I got my Reiki mastery.
Okay.
So I was learning about energy and vibration and we'd always have, like mantra type music on as we were running Reiki on everyone. And that was kind of the very first lesson that I received when it came to doing cord cutting, um, healings or house blessings or house cleansings was we'd have the singing bowls and we would run
Right.
those or I would sing. So yeah, definitely.
All right. I know time's slipping away from us here, and you had a couple of stories that you wanted to share with us that were really kind of creepy and
Yes.
impactful to you. So please, and again, these stories are featured in the book, correct?
Yes, they are. They are. The very first one, both of
And let
these
me mention to
stories.
people, there's a
Mhm.
link to your book on our page today, so people can find it in our guide for the program. You can also find it by going to paranormal60.com, clicking on the storefront, and entering our Amazon gift shop there to find all the books and cool stuff. But go ahead.
Yes, so both of the stories, it took me quite some time to even be able to tell these on air. The very first one, especially because when you grow up having all of these different experiences, you can hear something fall in another room. You can see a door open and close. And for me at least, you become used to that. But when you see something actually manifest in front of your eyes, it is a completely different game. So one night, I was standing out on the patio. I was in an apartment complex that I used to write for. They had a newsletter, and it was during the month that we have Earth Hour. And I thought, oh, that would be wonderful to be able to participate in Earth Hour, and we'd be able to see the stars because we were right on the outskirts of town. But I wasn't sure how I could, really ask the managers to do that. So I'm standing out on the patio, and off to my left, down towards this path, there's this really big cloud of smoke. And I'm watching it and I'm thinking, maybe somebody's vaping, because this is a huge and there's no fog, there's no wind, nothing. So I'm looking to try to see is there a person down here? And I see this cloud of smoke take form. It becomes this humanoid looking alien thing that he just forms out of this cloud of smoke, and he walks down this path, and he walks like we do, swinging arms and everything. And as I'm standing there, I I'm trying not to think too much because what if it's psychic? What if it can hear me? It'll know that I'm standing there. So I just try my best to clear my mind, and I'm holding my breath, and I'm just, of course I don't have fight or flight, I have freeze. And I'm watching it, and it goes down this walkway to the point where it just vanishes. It's like it passed through this invisible door and it was just gone. So here I am frozen, and I'm thinking to myself, if I turn around to get back inside my house, is there a chance it could just appear behind me? Could it prevent me from going inside? But eventually I'm able to move, and I have to get inside, and I open the door and I go in. I shut the sliding glass door, I shut the blinds, and I call my sister. I'm hysterical. And normally that doesn't happen. Again, you grow up seeing shadow entities, UFOs, what have you, hearing weird noises. This was on a completely different level. So I call her and I'm hysterical. She's calming me down. And I realize that the window in my children's room is open. It's open, the blinds are open, and I need to get it closed. So I run into their room, and I already have my phone out, and I shut the sliding, or the window, and I feel that something is staring at me. And I look up, and out of the window across to the other unit, it's the same thing. It's the head, it's the eyes. It is now in the window of this other apartment complex. And so I'm telling my sister this, and I already have the phone out. All it takes is 2 buttons to open up the camera, and she's talking me through it. So I take a picture, and I, shut the window and release the blinds, and I sent the picture to my sister, and I deleted it. I told her, "You keep it. I don't know if there could be, like, an energetic tie between myself and this thing by having the photograph. You keep it, and if I decide that I wanna talk about it, then, send it back to me." It took me about a year to be able to share this and talk about it. Um, I have had the photograph looked at, and so far, I mean, because here again, debunk it, that's fine, you know, because then, it was so powerful that I would be fine if somebody was to clearly be able to show that it was my imagination or something. However, to date, I have not been able to have the photo debunked. You're muted.
Muted me as I flipped onto the other page. I'm trying to pull up the images that you sent me of this to share. For some reason,
Oh.
they didn't load in, so I'm trying to pull those back up in our conversation and
Mhm.
share them. And my system is refusing to let me into it. So
Huh.
what I'll do is I'll try to have these pictures um, added to my website so that if people go to paranormal60.com, I'll try to have these images up so people can go see them for themselves. And they were weird. And I got to tell you, when people send me pictures, and you had originally reached out to me and asked
Mhm.
me to take a look at these pictures, I always kind of like, oh God, what kind of crap am I going to look at
Oh,
that I
yeah.
have to try to feign interest in? And I was like, oh, now that's something weird. That's something interesting. And again, I'm always open to
Right.
people's thoughts and concepts on this and what they think might be causing uh,
Mhm.
these images, and they're very strange, very strange.
Yeah. No, it's, because I thought about pareidoia,
Mhm.
and I've shown it to other people, but everybody sees the exact same thing that I see, and for it to look exactly the same way
That you described
at
it, right?
exactly, it was just incredible. So that one, that is definitely in the book, and I do have the photographs in the book for that one. The other story that really shook me and took me a while. This
Well, then
happened
just get
back.
the book, folks. Again, so you're going to see better picture than what will show up on here anyway. But get the book, The Diaries of Lady Anne, Aperture in the Veil, and the pictures are included inside the book, so you'll get a good view of that. But I'm sorry, go ahead, Anne.
Yes, so the other story which happened, this was last August. This was something I never expected to happen. You know, you're in this field and you hear everybody else's stories, and it's not like I was ever discounting anyone.
Mhm.
It's just that there are certain things that I felt were not going to be a part of my reality. I didn't want to claim that. It just
Mhm.
well, I had again back to Ohio for another ghost investigation. And when we were doing the ghost investigation, it was really interesting because we had somebody on the Estes method, which is where you have the noise canceling headphones and you're blindfolded and you're listening to the SB7 or whatever spirit box you have, and you're calling out whatever it is that you're hearing through the static. Well, there was a lot of information on the land about the land and something being lost, something being disconnected. So I thought, okay, well, maybe we need to be doing this ghost investigation in the woods. Well, we pack up, we get all of our stuff, and we get in this little, four-wheel vehicle, and we go out into the woods and we set everything up. And right when I walked in, and I should have thought about this. See, in the Pacific Northwest, when you're out here in the woods, which I've gone camping, I was in search and rescue, and it's quiet. But over there in Ohio, it is like an orchestra. All the bugs and everything. And I never thought about that. So when I walked into this location and it was silent, and they asked me, "Oh, how are you feeling?" I was like, "No, it's pretty good. It's pretty good." You know, I wasn't thinking anything. So we set everything up. I sit down, and as I'm sitting, I can hear something off to my right, and it sounds like bipedal footprints or footsteps. And you can hear it in the leaves. And I'm thinking, okay, it's clearly bipedal and it sounds big, but maybe I'm just scared. Maybe this
Mhm.
is a bird. This is something else, or what have you. So I try to ignore it. So I sit there. And then there is this low guttural growl that you can feel it, and it makes you feel sick. And at that point, I'm scared. But I look at who I'm with, and nobody has a reaction. Nobody
Hmm.
heard it. So I stand up and I'm like, okay, I'm not going to have my back towards this area anymore. And I get a flashlight. And I'm standing there with my flashlight and I'm looking. And I look over, and just out of reach of the light on this tree, you can see this silhouette of what looks like a Sasquatch. And I'm standing there and I'm thinking to myself, I didn't come here for you. This is not why I'm out here. I'm out here to do ghost stuff. There is no way. There is no way this is what I am going to encounter. So I move the flashlight, and as soon as I move the flashlight, you can hear a really loud open hand smack against the vehicle that we rode in on. The other people that I was with, they heard it, and they just kind of laughed like, "Oh, we're getting responses." Well, when you're doing ghost investigations, sounds are a part of it.
Mhm.
Creaks and slams and all that kind of thing. They weren't thinking of Sasquatch yet. They were still in ghost hunting mode.
Right.
So I get to the point where I'm standing there, and now I'm frozen. And they asked me, they're like, "Are you okay?" And I was like, nope, nope. I want to go out to the field,
Define
please.
okay. Right.
We need to go now." Because I definitely also felt like we were in something's territory.
Mhm.
Well, we get in the vehicle and we go out to the field. And as we're out there, I'm like, okay, this feels better. I'm okay now. I can do this. We can continue from here. Well, that was when my friend gets out her cell phone and she plays the 1994 Ohio Howl recording. You can find it on YouTube. And the same sound the same sound so loud, same cadence comes out of the woods where we just were. I mean, and it filled the air. And as I'm standing there and I'm listening to this howl, I'm just I'm just thinking, wow, monsters really do exist. Then I'm frozen. And then all of a sudden you hear, it's like it ripped a tree out of the ground and smacked it against another tree. And at that point I'm like, go, 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 we need to leave now. So they start the vehicle and we left. And it was absolutely terrifying. So we get back to base camp, and there's about an hour of time when I'm just trying to relax and get over what just happened because it was a shock. Well, I decide, okay, there are 2 camps that I've seen by, having a show and interviewing people. There's some people that believe that Sasquatch is something as regular as a great panda, whereas the other camp will believe that Sasquatch could be interdimensional and ride along with UFOs and all that kind of thing. So I thought, okay, what if we try to use the Estes method to communicate with it? So we
Ooh,
go
interesting.
outside.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we go outside and we get set up again. And as our person is hooked up to all of this, you can hear footsteps coming down the ridge, and you can feel like you're not alone. And then all of a sudden, one of the other party members turns on a flashlight, and they're looking with the flashlight. And the person on the Estes method says, bright, too bright. So we shut it off. And there was no way. She was facing the opposite direction of the person with the flashlight. She had the noise canceling headphones on, so you couldn't hear, the flashlight turn on. So we turned off the flashlight. We apologized. And then all of a sudden we look up, and there's this tree, and you can see that same silhouette again. And I'm not the only one that saw it. And then all of a sudden the person on the Estes method says, look, you see me. And it was, I mean, I still even just now have chills
Yeah.
thinking about it. And so as we go on, they start to talk about how there's been this disconnect between man and the earth. And they say we used to be worshipped, but now we're just a myth. All of this came through the Estes method.
Wow.
Well, it gets to the point where it's like they start to retreat, or they're disappearing, they're going away. And there's a completely different change in energy. And now this other thing, it feels scary, it feels dark, and it feels evil. And it began to it mentioned children, and it mentioned certain nicknames, and it was the same nicknames for our kids. And at that point,
Now it's
we
getting
cut it
personal.
off. Now it's getting
Yeah.
personal, and we were done. We cut off the investigation at that point. And what that left me feeling was, could there be multiple explanations for Sasquatch? Could it be that there is the flesh and blood, but also a shapeshifter that has these otherworldly abilities that can take that form, because it can read us, and it knows our fears, and it knows that we know what these are. So it was quite the
Wow.
quite the experience.
So you've had this alien-like encounter. You've obviously had ghostly encounters through your life, energetic encounters, doing Reiki and sensing and feeling things around you. And this Sasquatch, we're wrapping up here, but
Yeah.
does it ever feel like too much? Does it ever feel like it's overwhelming?
I would say no, just because I've grown up this way. If it was something that happened later on in life, yes. Yes. But at this point, I don't know what life would be like without having these experiences.
It's a good point. Very good point. Lady Ann, thank you so much again. We've got the book and information on today's guide, so you can find it and get a copy. Make sure you get a copy and then rate and review these when you get them, folks, so that it helps out all of our authors. It gives them more viewership on places like Amazon or wherever you buy your books and moves them up in the ranking. So please rate and review these books as they become available. Lady Ann, if people wanted to get in touch with you or hear more about your programs and stuff, what's the best link for them to follow?
Yes, so I'm on Anne Celine for Facebook. You can send me a friend request. Give me a PM when you do. The Caravan Library of Lore and KPNL Radio. You can Google those. You can put that into Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook, and that'll come up immediately.
We've got those links on today's program guide, so you can find it easily as well. Lady Ann, thank you for being here.
Thank you so much.
It's been a pleasure. This is my favorite part of doing the show, is getting to hear stories, getting to have people share and open up to us regarding what it is that they've seen and heard. We're not here to judge. We're here to experience and hear what others think. I'd like to thank my guests, Dean Haglund and Lady Ann. Check out the links that we have provided to keep up with them and their work. And thank you all for visiting the Paranormal 60 and allowing me along on your journey. May the darkness be a little more light with the information that we shared here. Make sure to like this video and podcast, subscribe, and tell everyone you know about it. And for our new podcast listeners, welcome to the family. Thank you for joining us here on the best in paranormal programming. I'm Dave Schrader, and this is the Paranormal 60.